The Caseverse is your space to explore real-world business events, decode disruptions, and uncover timeless management insights. Our mission: build critical thinking, scenario analysis, strategic perspective, and sound decision-making, the foundations of leadership excellence. Each video presents a case from current business reality, distilled into clear narratives and linked to proven management frameworks. Whether you're a student, teacher, manager, entrepreneur, or thought leader, the Caseverse helps you analyze, reflect, and stay ahead with actionable insights. Here, business is not just studied, it's experienced, questioned, and reimagined. Join the Caseverse community, where every case holds a verse, and every verse shapes the future of business. Lenovo's leap into AI server manufacturing in India. Case domains. This case encompasses the domains of operations, strategy, marketing. Target audience. The case has been designed for audience encompassing MBA students, management scholars, strategy enthusiasts, operations enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, business leaders, strategic thinkers, teachers and researchers in business management. Case domains. This case encompasses the domains of operations, strategy, marketing. Theoretical lens/framework applied. This case leverages Operations Strategy Matrix by Nigel Slack and Michael Lewis. By the end of this case, MBA students should be able to analyze how operational decisions align with broader corporate and national strategy, evaluate trade-offs across performance objectives, cost, quality, speed, flexibility, dependability, understand how firms configure resources in response to shifting market requirements, assess challenges and risks in aligning operations strategy with long-term market and regulatory shifts. For a free copy of teaching note for this case, mail at thecaseverse1@gmail.com. In August 2024, Lenovo announced that it would begin manufacturing artificial intelligence (AI) servers in India, becoming one of the first global technology majors to localize advanced server production in the country. This move came at a time when India's government was emphasizing self-reliance in digital infrastructure through initiatives like Digital India and Make in India. For Lenovo, the decision was not only a response to policy incentives, but also an attempt to align its global strategy with the rapidly evolving needs of the Indian market and beyond. AI servers, unlike conventional servers, require far more sophisticated hardware integration, cooling solutions, and quality control to support applications such as generative AI, high-performance computing, and advanced data analytics. Lenovo's choice to establish manufacturing lines for such complex systems in India signaled a strategic bet on the country's growing role in global supply chains and its expanding base of enterprise customers demanding AI-ready infrastructure. The case explores Lenovo's decision from an operational lens, examining how the company aligned its global capabilities with local conditions, what competitive factors shaped its priorities, and how it configured its operations in India to meet both present and future challenges. The Indian IT market has undergone a dramatic transformation in the last decade. With hyperscalers, cloud providers, banks, research institutions, and startups increasingly investing in AI-driven workloads, the demand for servers has surged. According to IDC, India's overall server market was valued at $1.6 billion in 2023, with enterprise spending on high-performance computing and AI-related infrastructure projected to grow at a CAGR of 22 to 25% through 2027. Hyperscalers alone contributed to nearly 40% of total server shipments in the country, while the government's push for digital public infrastructure has created new demand pockets in healthcare, education, and e-governance. Traditionally, much of this demand was served through imports, with servers shipped from China, Taiwan, or other manufacturing hubs. This led to extended lead times of 8 to 12 weeks for delivery, particularly for advanced configurations. Customers, especially banks, telecom operators, and research labs, began expressing frustration over these delays as their project cycles shortened. Moreover, geopolitical uncertainties, such as U.S.-China trade tensions and the pandemic-induced supply chain disruptions, highlighted the vulnerabilities of an import-dependent model. Policy directions further amplified these shifts. Under the Production-Linked Incentive (PLI) scheme, India has earmarked more than 17,000 crore rupees, $2 billion to boost IT hardware manufacturing. In parallel, procurement guidelines increasingly favored products that met Made in India thresholds. Enterprise buyers, particularly in public sector undertakings and government-linked projects, began factoring local manufacturing presence into vendor evaluations. For Lenovo, a global leader in the server business, this changing expectation from enterprise buyers was a defining factor. Customers were no longer only concerned about product performance, they also valued faster delivery, local service support, data sovereignty, and assurance of compliance with government procurement norms. Research by NASSCOM indicated that over 65% of Indian CIOs preferred vendors with local assembly or manufacturing capability for critical IT infrastructure purchases. The company recognized that meeting these evolving priorities required more than selling advanced servers in India, it demanded building them closer to where they would be deployed. The decision to manufacture AI servers in India was not simply a compliance exercise, but a deliberate attempt to secure an edge in a competitive market. Global rivals such as Dell, HPE, and Supermicro were also eyeing opportunities in Lenovo's existing manufacturing ecosystem in India was centered around its plant in Puducherry Limited, which had primarily been IDC's Q1 2024 data. Dell held a 41% established in 1999 and spanning over 1 HPE had 21%, and Lenovo trailed at around 7%, had the capacity to assemble close to 1 million PCs annually. But by localizing advanced AI small volume configurations, Lenovo aimed to change that equation, expanding this facility to accommodate AI to a credible contender required reconfiguring processes, government contracts, upgrading AI servers are highly specialized, and developing new skill sets customers expecting high processing unlike power, consumer electronics assembly. And AI servers required tighter tolerances, TPUs, higher reliability testing, and greater integration. Market research by Gartner suggests that AI-optimized server shipments Lenovo invested in expected to grow by 34% annually GPU burn-in testing setups, with India and automated rack integration fastest-growing demand centers. According to company's AI adoption curve, the Puducherry facility was global expertise in designing GPU-rich server architectures, capability present in only a handful of NVIDIA and AMD, positioned it well to capture this rising demand. Another critical step gave Lenovo a policy advantage too. The Puducherry under the government employed around 2021 IT hardware PLI many skilled in PC assembly vendors but less domestic value enterprise-grade server integration. By producing AI servers Lenovo in Puducherry, Lenovo could qualify technical institutes to train engineers in areas like for public sector projects, including those in sensitive areas like defense and failure diagnostic services. By mid-2024, over 300 employees had undergone server specialized training, was perception, and Lenovo announced plans to certify another 500 engineers within 2 years to build a sustainable talent pipeline. Said they were more likely to award large and also played a role in configuring vendors with local manufacturing capabilities, while critical components like GPUs and memory modules continue to be imported from the US, by being the first among top global players to commit AI Lenovo tied up with Indian suppliers for items such as power distribution units, rather than a late metal chassis and cabling harnesses. The competitive advantage industry estimates not only in terms of nearly 25 to 30%, but also in terms of responsiveness, by value, cost competitiveness, AI servers, regulatory alignment, and trust building with stakeholders in cost exposure and logistical delays. The emphasis was on creating a facility that balanced scale with customization. Many enterprise buyers in India wanted servers tailored to their unique workloads, such as financial simulations, AI model training, or cloud-native applications. IDC data shows that over 60% of Indian enterprises request non-standard configurations in server procurement, making agility essential. Lenovo's production configuration, therefore, was deliberately modular. Assembly lines were designed to switch between base models and custom builds with minimal downtime, ensuring flexibility without sacrificing throughput. In short, Lenovo's India facility was not conceived as a low-cost replica of its global plants, but as a strategically capable site that could deliver world-class AI servers with regional customization, faster turnaround, and evolving local content, features critical to both policy alignment and customer trust. One of the biggest challenges in localizing AI server manufacturing in India was managing costs. While government incentives under the Production-Linked Incentive (PLI) scheme provided some relief, the cost structure of building advanced hardware in India remained higher than in traditional hubs like China or Vietnam. For example, industry estimates suggested that assembling servers in India was 10 to 15% more expensive than in China due to factors like lower component localization, higher logistics costs for critical imports, and lower labor productivity. Under the PLI 2.0 scheme for IT hardware, 2023 to 2026, the government of India allocated 17,000 crore rupees, $2.04 billion United States dollars, to incentivize global and local players. Eligible companies could receive incentives ranging from 4% to 6% of incremental sales for domestically manufactured laptops, servers, and related equipment. Lenovo qualified for this scheme, which partially offset its cost disadvantage. However, analysts from ICRA pointed out that incentive support could only reduce costs by 3 to 4% of the final bill of materials, leaving Lenovo to bridge the remaining gap through scale and efficiency. Component dependency was another cost driver. According to industry data, over 70% of high-value server components, GPUs, memory modules, motherboards, were still imported into India, exposing Lenovo to foreign exchange fluctuations and global price volatility. Import duties on some server components range between 5% and 12%, further inflating costs compared to manufacturing in countries with more mature supplier ecosystems. By contrast, China's deeply entrenched electronics ecosystem allowed server production at significantly lower landed costs. Lenovo's approach was to leverage economies of scale by aligning local production with both domestic demand and potential exports. The Indian AI server market alone was projected by IDC to exceed $1 billion United States dollars annually by 2026, while neighboring markets in South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa collectively represented another $2 United States dollars minus $3 billion opportunity. By using its Indian plant as a regional hub, Lenovo aimed to spread fixed costs, such as training, testing infrastructure, and compliance, across a larger production base, gradually lowering unit costs. At the plant level, Lenovo also pursued lean manufacturing and energy optimization initiatives. The Puducherry site was equipped with renewable energy sources that supplied nearly 30% of its power needs, and automation upgrades were expected to reduce assembly cycle times by 12 to 15%, according to company disclosures. These measures directly reduced operating expenditure, helping Lenovo maintain competitive pricing even in a cost-sensitive market like India. For customers, affordability was a decisive factor. Gartner estimated that Indian enterprises typically allocated 20 to 25% lower IT infrastructure budgets as a share of revenue than their counterparts in developed markets. Delivering AI servers at a price point aligned with these realities was therefore essential. Lenovo's ability to optimize costs while still providing world-class performance was not just a financial necessity, it was fundamental to winning and retaining customers in India. For enterprise buyers, especially those deploying AI systems in mission-critical environments like banking, healthcare, or national security, reliability was paramount. Industry benchmarks suggest that downtime for AI and HPC workloads can cost enterprises between $100,000 United States dollars and $500,000 United States dollars per hour, depending on the sector. This made server quality and uptime guarantees central to purchase decisions. Lenovo's challenge was to assure customers that servers built in India would meet the same rigorous global standards as those manufactured in other parts of the world. To achieve this, Lenovo embedded advanced quality control mechanisms into its Indian production lines. Its Puducherry facility adopted Lenovo's Global Quality Management System, LQMS, which includes over 2,000 automated test cases for server validation. The plant introduced thermal and vibration stress tests, power cycle endurance checks, and GPU performance benchmarks, capabilities rarely available in Indian IT hardware factories. According to company disclosures, each AI server produced locally undergoes a 72-hour burn-in test cycle, replicating extreme workload conditions to identify potential faults before shipment. Failure rate management was another priority. Globally, Lenovo's ThinkSystem servers had an average annualized failure rate, AFR, below 0.44%, significantly lower than the industry average of approximately 0.7%. By integrating the same testing protocols in India, Lenovo aimed to reassure enterprise buyers that made-in-India units would perform at par with global benchmarks. Independent audits by TÜV Rheinland were also introduced at the facility to certify compliance with international standards like ISO 9001, Quality Management, and ISO 27001, Information Security. Moreover, Lenovo emphasized long-term service reliability. AI servers require not only robust hardware, but also lifecycle support for firmware updates, security patches, and workload optimization. To strengthen this, Lenovo expanded its India service network to 150-plus cities and set up a dedicated server reliability engineering (SRE) lab in Bengaluru to provide real-time monitoring and predictive maintenance for enterprise clients. In a market survey by IDC in 2023, over 62% of Indian CIOs ranked after-sales support and service responsiveness as a top 3 factor in selecting AI infrastructure vendors, an area Lenovo invested in heavily. These initiatives were designed to create confidence among customers that Indian-built Lenovo AI servers would not only meet global standards, but also offer better responsiveness and localized support. By combining world-class testing, globally consistent quality metrics, and India-specific service enhancements, Lenovo aimed to differentiate itself as a partner rather than just a supplier. Flexibility was also important from a customer perspective. Enterprise buyers in India often requested custom builds, tailored to their unique workloads. A 2023 IDC survey revealed that nearly 64% of Indian enterprises sought non-standard server configurations, compared to a global average of 48%, reflecting the country's diverse industry requirements, from e-commerce and fintech to genome sequencing and weather modeling. Lenovo's ability to integrate such customization into its local operations became a strong selling point, reinforcing the value of its India-based production. Beyond hardware, flexibility extended into cooling and energy systems. With Indian data centers consuming an estimated 8 gigawatts of power by 2026, up from approximately 2 gigawatts in 2022, according to JLL, energy efficiency was a rising concern. Lenovo's Indian plant incorporated direct-to-chip liquid cooling compatibility to serve customers experimenting with green data centers, a differentiator in a market where power costs accounted for 30 to 35% of total data center OpEx. By designing its Indian operations for agility across components, configurations, and energy systems, Lenovo ensured that it could not only meet today's demands, but also pivot quickly to future technologies, whether that meant adopting next-gen GPUs, integrating AI-optimized memory, or aligning with India's sustainability goals. Flexibility was also important from a customer perspective. Enterprise buyers in India often requested custom builds, tailored to their unique workloads. A 2023 IDC survey revealed that nearly 64% of Indian enterprises sought non-standard server configurations, compared to a global average of 48%, reflecting the country's diverse industry requirements, from e-commerce and fintech to genome sequencing and weather modeling. Lenovo's ability to integrate such customization into its local operations became a strong selling point, reinforcing the value of its India-based production. Beyond hardware, flexibility extended into cooling and energy systems. With Indian data centers consuming an estimated 8 gigawatts of power by 2026, up from approximately 2 gigawatts in 2022, according to JLL, energy efficiency was a rising concern. Lenovo's Indian plant incorporated direct-to-chip liquid cooling compatibility to serve customers experimenting with green data centers, a differentiator in a market where power costs accounted for 30 to 35% of total data center OpEx. By designing its Indian operations for agility across components, configurations, and energy systems, Lenovo ensured that it could not only meet today's demands, but also pivot quickly to future technologies, whether that meant adopting next-gen GPUs, integrating AI-optimized memory, or aligning with India's sustainability goals. One of the clearest advantages of local manufacturing was speed. Previously, customers in India often had to wait weeks, if not months, for imported AI servers due to shipping delays, customs clearances, and logistical bottlenecks. Industry data indicated that the average lead time for high-performance servers imported into India was 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the country of origin. Customs clearance for high-value electronics could add an additional 5 to 7 days to delivery schedules, with occasional delays stretching longer due to regulatory checks on encryption and advanced chipsets. For enterprise customers in sectors like e-commerce, telecommunications, and financial services, such delays were untenable. A 2023 NASSCOM report highlighted that 67% of Indian CIOs ranked shorter lead times as one of their top 3 procurement priorities, often citing project cycle times of less than 12 weeks for new AI workloads. When infrastructure delivery itself took nearly that long, it became a significant bottleneck. By producing servers within India, Lenovo was able to cut delivery timelines dramatically. Company executives stated that localized production in Puducherry allowed AI servers to be shipped to customers in as little as 2 to 3 weeks, depending on customization, representing a reduction of nearly 70% in turnaround time compared to imports. This speed advantage gave Lenovo an edge not only in customer satisfaction but also in competitive bidding, where faster availability often translated into winning deals. The proximity to the market also enabled Lenovo to respond quickly to service requests. According to IDC, Indian enterprises logged an average of 1.8 service calls per server per year for maintenance and upgrades, and vendors with local production and service capabilities resolved issues 25 to 30% faster than import-dependent competitors. Lenovo's local assembly ecosystem thus went beyond logistics. It created a tighter feedback loop between customers, service engineers, and manufacturing lines, enabling iterative improvements in product design and delivery. In fast-moving sectors like startups working on generative AI or research institutions running time-bound simulations, such speed was more than an operational detail, it was a strategic enabler. For these customers, Lenovo's ability to shrink delivery from months to weeks became a decisive factor in vendor selection. Lenovo's decision was not just about immediate operational benefits, but about positioning for the long term. India's ambition to become a global digital powerhouse was expected to drive sustained demand for AI infrastructure. According to a joint NASSCOM-BCG report 2024, India's AI market is projected to grow to $17 billion by 2027, with nearly 45% of enterprise IT budgets expected to include AI-related spending. Parallelly, the Indian data center industry is forecast to expand from approximately 800 megawatts in 2022 to over 1,700 megawatts by 2025, JLL, fueled by hyperscalers like AWS, Microsoft, and Google, as well as domestic players such as Reliance Jio and Hiranandani Yoda. This expansion represents a long-term structural demand for AI servers and related hardware. The company also viewed India as a potential export hub for South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Together, these regions represented a $3 billion market for enterprise servers by 2027, IDC, where customers faced similar challenges of cost sensitivity and delayed imports. By developing advanced manufacturing capabilities in India, Lenovo could diversify its supply chain, making it less dependent on China, which still accounted for over 70% of Lenovo's global manufacturing capacity in 2023. The shift was also a hedge against geopolitical risks, including US-China trade tensions, which had already resulted in tightened controls on advanced chip exports. Beyond commercial advantages, the move strengthened Lenovo's reputation with policymakers and regulators in India. The government had made localization of critical technology infrastructure a strategic priority under Digital India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, with explicit mentions of building trusted digital infrastructure. By committing AI server manufacturing to India, Lenovo positioned itself to benefit from preferential treatment in government and public sector contracts. For instance, in 2023, public sector procurement accounted for nearly 22% of India's total enterprise server spending, according to IDC, an opportunity Lenovo could more directly access through its local presence. Lenovo also aligned with India's sustainability and green data center goals, with the Ministry of Power projecting data center electricity consumption to reach 8 to 9 gigawatts by 2030. The government began incentivizing energy-efficient IT hardware. Lenovo's introduction of liquid cooling-compatible AI servers in India gave it a long-term edge in aligning with such regulatory directions. In sum, Lenovo's local manufacturing initiative was about embedding itself deeply into India's digital growth story, diversifying its global risk profile, and creating export-oriented resilience. It was less a tactical move and more a structural bet on India's emergence as both a demand center and a credible production base for advanced digital infrastructure. Despite its clear benefits, Lenovo's strategy faced significant challenges. The AI server market is resource-intensive, relying heavily on access to high-performance GPUs, such as NVIDIA's H100 and A100, or AMD's MI300 series. Globally, demand for such chips far outstripped supply in 2023-24, with NVIDIA reporting order backlogs stretching 6 to 9 months, and average lead times rising to nearly 40 weeks for top-tier GPUs. For India-based assembly, this global shortage meant Lenovo's capacity to scale output was constrained by upstream suppliers. Analysts projected that AI chip demand would grow at a CAGR of 27% through 2027, Gartner, keeping supply tight for years. Competition also intensified. Dell and HPE, Lenovo's primary rivals in the enterprise server space, had already announced expansion of their AI infrastructure offerings in India, with HPE's Pune facility adding AI server assembly lines in early 2024, and Dell committing $300 million in Indian operations by 2025. Supermicro, while smaller, positioned itself aggressively on price, leveraging flexible manufacturing in Southeast Asia to target hyperscalers in India. IDC reported that Lenovo's share of India's x86 server market was approximately 7.2% in 2023, compared to Dell's 39% and HPE's 27%, highlighting the steep challenge Lenovo faced in expanding market share despite its local advantage. Policy and regulation remained another area of uncertainty. India's push for trusted sources procurement in sensitive sectors such as defense, telecom, and banking raised questions about which vendors would qualify, especially as scrutiny around Chinese origin companies increased. In 2023, India restricted procurement of certain Chinese telecom gear in public sector projects, and though Lenovo had a diversified ownership structure, its Chinese base could be a concern in the long run. From a cost perspective, while local assembly reduced logistics and customs expenses, India's component ecosystem for high-end semiconductors was still nascent. As of 2024, over 85% of server components, from CPUs to memory modules, still needed to be imported. Without deeper backward integration, Lenovo would remain exposed to currency fluctuations and import duties, limiting its cost leadership. At the same time, opportunities were vast. Hyperscalers alone were expected to invest $10 minus 12 billion annually in Indian data centers through 2030, ICRA. While India's AI adoption was forecast to add $450 minus 500 billion to GDP by 2025, Accenture. If Lenovo could navigate supply risks and build credibility with both private and government buyers, the upside could be transformative. In this context, Lenovo's challenge was not merely operational, it was strategic. The company needed to secure long-term GPU supply partnerships, build a stronger India-focused component ecosystem, and position itself clearly within regulatory frameworks to compete against incumbents. Its success in India would depend not just on manufacturing speed and cost, but on managing geopolitical risks, competing with entrenched rivals, and leveraging India as both a market and an export hub. Lenovo's foray into AI server manufacturing in India illustrates the complex interplay between global strategy and local execution. By aligning its operations with the needs of the Indian market, the company sought to create a sustainable advantage in a rapidly evolving sector. The case underscores how operational decisions, ranging from production configuration to quality control and delivery speed, can shape competitive outcomes in industries where technology, policy, and customer expectations intersect. In many ways, Lenovo's initiative can be seen as a test case for how multinational companies adapt their global operations to meet the unique challenges and opportunities of emerging markets. If successful, it could set a precedent for how high-technology manufacturing takes root in India, influencing not only Lenovo's trajectory, but also the broader dynamics of the country's digital infrastructure landscape. Dr. KBS Kumar is an award-winning management author and educator with over 100 published case studies across business domains and more than 20 international accolades in case writing. A seasoned trainer and mentor, he has guided corporate leaders, academics, and students in mastering case writing and case-based learning, blending academic rigor with practical insights. Through the Caseverse, Dr. Kumar transforms real-world business events into engaging case studies, powerful resources for classrooms, corporate training, managerial development, and strategic thinking. Passionate about nurturing critical and analytical skills, his work bridges theory and practice, offering timeless lessons for navigating today's complex business world.